It was like being hit with a steel bar. The Führer would have been proud of that boy's strength. His fist caught me on my left cheekbone, jarring my head to the right, shooting pain down my neck and shoulders. I spun to one side as my legs gave way, and there was a moment when my head filled with darkness. The shadow swallowed me up, and when it spat me out again, I was lying on the floor beside my bicycle, and the big boy was standing over me. I looked up at him, wondering for a moment who he was. As it came back to me, the boy lifted one foot and cocked his leg back as if he was about to kick a football, except instead of a football, his boot was aimed at my head. "No!" There was a cry from behind me, and Lisa came into view, flying at my attacker, flailing her fists in front of her. Slamming straight into him, she forced the boy backwards so that he bumped into one of the Deutsche Jungvolk who was struggling to his feet. The boy who had hit me lost his balance. His arms whipped out in front of him as if he might be able to grab Lisa and stop himself from falling, but he was too heavy and too far gone. His fingers raked along the front of Lisa's dress as he dropped, his right hand catching in her pocket and ripping it off, and then he hit the ground. Even from where I was lying, I saw the carved flower spin away from Lisa's torn pocket. Up and up it went, round and round, turning in the air as it arced upwards before tumbling towards the ground. Except it didn't ever reach the ground. Instead of hitting the road and bouncing away where it could cause no harm, the small wooden Edelweiss dropped right onto my attacker's chest. For a moment, Lisa stood over him, triumphant, while I lay behind her, dazed and shocked. Then the boy noticed the flower lying on his chest, and some kind of recognition flashed in his eyes. He lifted a hand and picked up the carving, holding it between his finger and thumb so the petals were pointing towards the sky. He stared at it for what felt like a very long time, then looked at us once more as a clear expression of distaste spread across his face. His lip curled, and he took a deep breath before pointing a finger and shouting two words. "Edelweiss pirates!" He might as well have shouted British soldiers or Russians or even spies. First, the boys around him looked at their comrade lying on the floor at their feet. Then they looked at his finger, pointing in our direction. Then they looked at us. Lisa took the chance to help me to my feet as the boy who had hit me drew himself up to his full height. He held the carved flower out towards us as if it were some kind of accusation and spat the words again, "Edelweiss pirates!" He threw the wooden flower at me so that it bounced off my chest and landed on the road at my feet. Lisa put a hand on my arm and together we stepped back so that the curb was against our heels. The crowd pressed up against us, blocking our escape, and I glanced left and right, seeing no way out. Other boys fell in behind the one who had hit me, first 2, then 3, 4, 5, 6, until it was impossible for us to count how many boys were standing in a semicircle around us. The world closed in on me. My heart pounded like a blacksmith's hammer. My vision swirled and brightened and became crystal clear. It was as if there were nothing in the world but me, Lisa, and those boys in front of us. My body was preparing itself for what was about to happen. There were only two things for me to do. I could either run or I could fight. But there was nowhere for me to run. No way out. I would have to fight.